Alright, you guys, welcome back to another YouTube video. My name is Cosmic, also known as Cecil H, and today is another video. Today we play Pokemon, the Indigo Disc DLC. And I basically already kind of played through the majority of the DLC, kind of like, in the post-game stuff, but I'm going to basically give you guys my overall thoughts and opinions. Originally, I did have the Indigo Disc, my first reaction to the Indigo Disc recorded, but only ended up recording the audio files. I did stream this over on Twitch, so if you guys were there on my streams watching it, I did have a blast with the Indigo Disc, and I'm going to give you guys basically my overall thoughts and what were my first impressions of it. So let's go. Alright, and before we get into the video as well, make sure to leave a comment, like, share, and subscribe because it helps with the YouTube algorithm. And just a little bit of a disclaimer, this is basically just a reenactment. The gameplay you are going to be seeing is going to be a reenactment of basically my first thought of the Indigo Disc, and I'm going to also be narrating some of this gameplay that's going to be going on in the background. So hopefully you guys do enjoy the video, and without further ado, let's get on with the video. And now, just to give you guys a little bit of a rundown of the team that we're going to be using. So let's actually introduce you guys the Pokemon that I did use in the Indigo Disc, and as well as maybe a little bit of the post-game team. So starting off with my ace, or aces shall I say, we have Vix the Greninja. Vix was actually I wouldn't have to say with me since day one, since because you weren't able to actually get Greninja, but as far as the Greninja Terror Raid event that came out, I essentially basically hatched myself the shiny Greninja, and obviously I think by the looks of this, my whole entire team is shiny. I am a shiny hunter, guys. So if you see me kind of like talking about some of these Pokemon, the majority of these Pokemon that I do use are shiny. Not all the Pokemon that are in my PC box, by the way, that you see me go through are all shiny. It's just basically the more notable ones that I do end up using. So Vix is essentially my ace with the, in the Indigo Disc, during the Indigo Disc, had the Poison Terra typing. Obviously, you see now he has the Stellar Terra typing. And within this gameplay, you also do see here, he is terrestrialized into the Stellar Terra typing. I am also using Iron Valiant, who is an Electric Terra typing. Iron Valiant is another personal favorite of mine. He is amazing. A freaking Glasskin, by the way. His nickname is Caden. So most of these nicknames that I do give to these Pokemon are either references of other characters in media, general nicknames, or even just like gemstone names. But Caden is a reference to a character in Mass Effect, the original trilogy, Caden Delanco. Let me know if you guys want to actually see me do some gameplay of the Mass Effect trilogy. Then we going on to our next Pokemon. We have Lumiere the Chandelure. Obviously, by the name of it, it is based off of the character Lumiere from Beauty and the Beast. And by the way, he is marked. That is actually like one of my favorites when I shiny hunt a Pokemon, is when they have a mark. Especially when it's like a mark that's not as common that you see too often. So there's that. We have Nefara the Rapska. Nefara is obviously nicknamed off of Nefara Denial from Monster High. Shout out to my Monster High fans out there. Nefara really is not too special because her overall purpose is just to res my teammates. So the stuff that she does have is Bug Buzz, Light Screen, Trick Room, and Revival Blessing with the Synchronized ability, and she is holding a Lepa Berry. So I am able to use Revival Blessing twice, and this kind of turns my 5.5 Pokemon team to a 7.5 Pokemon team. Technically 8, but Rapska doesn't really count because Rapska is usually just like my utility Pokemon. If anyone actually does fall to this bug, shame on you because she only has one move. Anyways, going on to the next team member, we have Toxtricity. So obviously at this point I actually forgot to record Toxtricity in here, but his name is Blue, and he was actually a very helpful member on my team. So just to give y'all what moveset he actually had, so he had the moves Overdrive, Snarl, Boom Burst, and Sludge Bomb with the Punk Rock ability. Punk Rock is essentially buffs the damage of sound-based moves, and he is also holding the Throat Spray. So when you use a sound-based move, it does buff your special attack, which actually kind of helps with Sludge Bomb when you have like that stab bonus and whatnot. Next we have Alkaline, the Hisuian Goodra. Hisuian Goodra is definitely better than regular Goodra. This Hisuian Goodra has max physical defense as well as max special attack. A little bit of some points dedicated into some special defense, but we do have acid armor for that. We have Chilling Water to lower any of the opponent's physical attacks. This actually prevents opponents from kind of using Body Press, Earthquake, and Earth Power on Hisuian Goodra. Flying Terror as well, in case if said opponent actually does go for the Earthquake or Earth Power. We also do have Flash Cannon and Dragon Pulse. I would actually have wanted to put Shelter on here, but because Shelter does the same thing what Acid Armor does, but Acid Armor does it better just because it has twice the amount of PP, and there's really like not that much to even get from Shelter, since because Shelter does only raise your physical defense, not both your defenses. So really, RIP to Shelter and people that may actually like this move, but that's like a little bit of a strat right there. If you want to actually use a move that's like Shelter, use Acid Armor, because Goodra does have access to Acid Armor, which is literally just a better version of Shelter. Until they actually do buff Shelter next generation, it's going to be in the back burner. Hisuian Goodra does make a brief appearance in here. Alkaline does make a brief appearance because Alkaline gets replaced by our next contender, and that is Syrup the Hydrapple. And I wanted to actually use Hydrapple in this DLC just because of the fact that, like, you know, we heard that Dipplin was going to be getting an evolution, and I wanted to see how we were actually going to be getting it. And I didn't know if it was going to be access as soon as you play the DLC or as soon as you beat the DLC. Thankfully, it's in the middle ground where you basically have to actually get up to the point where you fight the Elite Four and basically fight Drayton first to get the TM for Dragon Shear to evolve your Dipplin. The next teammate that we actually do end up using, we start using Reika, the Shiny Toucanon, and this is yet another nickname that is based off another character within the Mass Effect universe, and this time it is actually based off of a character within Mass Effect Andromeda. Who remembers Mass Effect Andromeda, by the way? But anyway, shout out to my Mass Effect Andromeda enjoyers out there. And we have skill link on Reika with Rock Blast and Blitz Seed. We have that Beak Blast because, you know, that move is definitely very insane, especially if it's able to actually get off the burn on said Pokemon. So yeah, Toucanon will definitely be doing a lot. And then we also do have Rock Blast to lower that defense. And surprisingly enough, I'm surprised like Toucanon wasn't labeled as like a fighting flying type or even a fire flying type of some form, because honestly I feel that the Toucanon is definitely not a normal type at all. But anyways, going on to our final member, we have Viper the Superior, and y'all should actually know in this DLC that Superior is definitely a menace, especially with the contrary ability. What we have on Viper is we have that goes as follows. We have Leaf Storm, Gastro Acid, Giga Drain, and Twister. So why do I have that setup? So obviously Leaf Storm with Contrary and Giga Drain to actually kind of like regenerate some of that health that Superior has taken. And we also do have Gastro Acid to kind of counter certain Pokemon, especially Pokemon like Espathra and Blaziken, that basically pretty much benefit off of speed. Superior does have max speed and also is a speed nature as well at the cost of physical attack. I forgot like which nature that is. But we then have Twister because, you know, to me when I was a kid, Superior always appeared to me as a dragon type. Obviously, that is actually for the better that it is not a dragon type because it would have been quad weak to ice and also would have been a very busted starter to actually have within Generation 5. But anyways, going on to the Elite Four, we obviously chose to fight up against Drayton first. Drayton was definitely kind of like a difficult Elite Four to go up against, that and the next Elite Four member we are going to be mentioning. But other than that, the other two Elite Four members really was a cakewalk until we actually get up to the third Elite Four member in this rematch. But Drayton does have Archulodon, Dragonite, Flygon, and Kingdra. Those Pokemon kind of do scare me a little bit, to be honest. But it was nothing to handle. Obviously, in this gameplay right here, you obviously do see that Drayton does curb stomp me almost again, but we still managed to make it back. Obviously, you guys get to see some of the gameplay of all of these Pokemon that I did mention. I just forgot to mention about Chinchino that I do use, but she does make a brief appearance in here. Shout out to Mariposa and shout out to my Chinchino enjoyers. Our next Elite Four member is the one that I also did struggle up against. Almost. By the way, I actually did beat these all on my first try within my first gameplay, but they almost did beat me. Amaris was definitely one trainer that actually almost wiped my entire team. Greninja did actually clap back with Amaris, especially when I did Terrasilize him into a Poison Terror, even though I don't know why I did, but it still ended up working. Thanks to friendship, he was able to actually beat Amaris. Again, this one as well, Amaris almost seems to curb stomp me. I do not know. I don't know what is going on with these Elite Four members lately, because in the rematches that we actually do face them, some of these Elite Four members actually do give some pushback, really huge pushback. Amaris almost seems to wipe my entire team, and then we go on to a third Elite Four member that I did not struggle up against the most, but in this rematch, I see you clearly see that I actually do struggle up against this Elite Four member as well, Crispin. He definitely had a bone to pick with me because I did only use one Pokemon to wipe that entire team, and that is the one that you actually see on the battlefield currently and essentially gets knocked out by Magmortar. Yeah, so RIP to Vix, who actually did wiped his entire team. I know Crispin was the lead to actually take out my Greninja because, again, first go around, Greninja wiped his entire team out completely, and he definitely had a bone to pick with me and definitely hate crime my Greninja. Going on to the last Elite Four member, and that is Lacey. Decided to end off with Lacey because I think it's actually kind of a little bit like poetic if the person that introduced you and walked you around through the Blueberry Academy is the last Elite Four member that you actually do end up beating. And so I wanted to actually kind of be like that little poetic end, or kind of good like ending right there. Then so we first up against Lacey. She definitely did. So she did put up a little bit of a challenge in the second go around here, but we still curb stomped her. Even though she did knock out two of my Pokemon, we still managed to actually beat her. Obviously, you get to see Alkaline shine in this one, and you get to see him actually curb stomp that Excadrill. I don't know why she actually chooses to terrestrialize her Excadrill into a Fairy Terra, because I feel like that you should have kind of kept it as is, or maybe even like, you know, not use it as like your ace. But I know that is your ace because your father is Clay. But still, Lacey wasn't that much of a challenge. So I don't have any Kieran gameplay in here because obviously we haven't beat the epilogue yet. But Kieran, our first go around, I wanted to kind of use Hydrapple to actually face off against Kieran. Like basically kind of like to use my Hydrapple with his Hydrapple to see who's the better Hydrapple. But Dragonite manages to knock Hydrapple out within an instant. Yeah, kind of not the smartest choice to actually call out Hydrapple first in the battle, especially if it's going up against a flying type. Yeah. But other than that, we do manage to actually beat Kieran. I know people actually did say that Kieran is a little bit hard, but really, in reality, he wasn't really that hard. I didn't really struggle with him too much to begin with. Then next, and certainly not least, we go into the ending portion of the Indigo Disc, and that is facing off against Terrapagos. When I first saw a Terrapagos initially, I literally was like, it's tiny. It is actually really so tiny. Like the baby form for Terrapagos, or regular form Terrapagos, is tiny. Like I know it was gonna be tiny, but I didn't know it was gonna be this small. Then when it terrestrializes, then when it changes into its terrestrial form, not terrestrializes, we're gonna talk about that in a bit. When it changed into its terrestrial form, it still is smaller than I expected. Like, I was looking at that and I'm like, you're still small. That is, wow. Then we obviously terrestrialize it into its stellar form, which is basically its ultimate form, and he does get a little bit bigger. The Terrapagos itself does get bigger. He does become just as big as your trainer, if not a little bit bigger. And I like how they actually base it off of like a stack of tortoises, where basically you have the big tortoise being in the bottom, the middle tortoise being in the middle, and then you have the crown being the little tortoise, you know? I meant to say Terrapagos being the middle tortoise, but yeah. I do like that Terrapagos is based off of the world turtle, so that was actually kind of a little treat right there. And Terrapagos is definitely a good Pokemon. I did not expect it to be a normal type. I expected it to kind of be maybe like Psychic Rock, or maybe even a Dragon type, as to what people were actually theorizing as to what it could be. But I actually kind of get why they made it into a normal type, because of the stellar typing, you know. But other than that, really, the Indigo Disc was definitely a good DLC. And obviously you see in the background gameplay right here, we actually catch ourselves the Iron Crown and Iron Boulder. A little bit of a struggle to actually get these to catch 200 Pokemon to actually get to catch these. Surprisingly enough, these did not give me that much of a struggle. I go up against Iron Boulder, and yeah, first quick ball capture. Hopefully Iron Crown does give a little bit of more of a challenge, and oh, okay, that's something right there. Yeah, so the two new Paradox Mons for the Swords of Justice surprisingly weren't that much of a challenge to catch. I like how it took me 30 minutes to actually catch this singular Iron Valiant that you see on my team, but it took me less than 5 minutes to catch Iron Boulder and Iron Crown. I know these Paradox ones are supposed to have like a low catch rate, but I think that the Swords of Justice kind of have a little bit of a higher catch rate. Let me know if y'all have the same thing where you guys were able to easily catch these Pokemon in Pokeballs and whatnot. Obviously, they use a Quick Ball and an Ultra Ball, but still, let me know if you guys struggled a little bit and were able to catch these just as quickly as I have. Without further ado, we have actually reached the end of the video, and my closing thoughts on the Indigo disc is this DLC is definitely really good. I'm probably going to be streaming the rest of the DLC, the epilogue, when it does come out. I believe the week of January 14th, 15th. So follow me over on Twitch to actually see how the rest of the DLC does end up. And as well, we are going to probably be doing some shiny hunts as well to shiny hunt the starters, because yeah, that was definitely a struggle to actually catch them. And last thing I actually even forgot to mention is the item printer. That was definitely a nice gimmick to actually have and kind of bring back, because in Sword and Shield they had the Cramomatic in Sword and Shield, which basically only spat out only one item, while the item printer you can just give multiple materials. The higher the percentage, the higher chance you're going to probably be able to get more materials. And obviously you see in this background gameplay with me using the item printer, I have gotten it to Master Ball level, and I also was able to get the Pokeball Lotto on the second try in this recording, spinning this. And we were able to get ourselves Moon Balls, Luxury Balls, and basically ourselves an ability patch somewhere through this. And overall closing thoughts, do I think that the Indigo disc is better than the Sword and Shield DLCs? Absolutely. I think like the Teal Mask Indigo disc are better DLCs than the Sword and Shield DLC. In reality, I think Sword and Shield walked so that Scarlet and Violet could run. I know Scarlet and Violet has like their little bugs and also frame rate drops, but other than that, if you can get past that, you can actually enjoy this game to the fullest extent. Scarlet and Violet does have its own problems, but to overall close all this off, I give the Indigo disc a 9.5 out of 10. If you guys did enjoy this video, let me know what you think. Comment, like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you guys all in the flippity side. Later.